Hello, listeners. Welcome to the show. I'm just jumping in here before we go live with this episode for two reasons. First of all, I just need to make you aware that the content you'll hear today is different to the normal show. We recorded this interview with beautiful Patrizia over on our Tradies in Business podcast. However, on discussion after the episode, we realized just how invaluable this information is that Patrizia shares with us in this episode, and decided that it absolutely needed to be shared here on Tradie Wife Life as well. So you will hear Warwick in here as we recorded the show for Tradies in Business. Please hang in there. It's absolutely fantastic story. I should also let you know it's quite a painful story. It's incredibly raw, very honest. Patrizia lost her son at the age of 18 and only just 18, Christopher, on a trade building site. And it's really important information, though at times it's incredibly raw and quite challenging to sit with. But I encourage you all to please listen in. This is a really important message. And we, I guess, so passionately want to ensure that as many ears get to hear the message that is within this podcast as possible. So please do share if you feel motivated to do so. Thank you for listening. Welcome to the Tradie Wife Life podcast, brought to you by Tradies in Business, where we talk to tradie wives about their goals, their challenges, their hopes and dreams, and how their trade business can help with that.
Righto, listeners, here we are. Now, we're making an exception today, Coxie.
Yeah.
We are not telling a joke, although we are smiling for those of you watching us on the YouTube channel. And for those of you who don't know that we have a YouTube channel that listen to the podcast, you can also watch us on YouTube. So you can go down mindless rabbit holes after you've seen our video and have YouTube tell you to watch some, a rhinoceros eating sugarcane whilst driving on a bus, because really that seems to be the weird stuff that gets served up by the algorithm. Now, the reason we don't have a joke, Coxie, is because I guess in some respects today's episode is very serious and we want to get straight into chatting with our guest. I know you're busting to introduce our guest today after our conversation with her off air about our different, am I allowed to say ethnic backgrounds? Is that...
Yes, of course you can.
Why not?
2023, I don't know. No, I don't know what I'm allowed to say.
We do have an ethnic background, so really... You can't change that.
No,
I know.
Totally true.
So, Patrizia, welcome to the show. Welcome to Tradies in Business. Great to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. We are just going to let you introduce yourself so our listeners know who they're listening to and why they really should tune in for the next 45 minutes or so, or however long we manage to keep Coxie in one piece.
Yes.
So tell us a bit about who you are and how you came to be talking to us today.
My name's Patrizia Cassaniti, and I'm an international keynote speaker and safety advocate. And this title has only come after my 18-year-old passed away tragically on a job site about 4 years ago, in 1st of April 2019. And he was tragically crushed by a scaffold that collapsed in Macquarie Park. And since that day, my whole life has turned around. I used to be a coffee maker, so used to have my own coffee van, and was actually working on that site where he passed away as well.
Oh, no.
So, but luckily I wasn't there that day. I'd actually taken the day off that day because Christopher had just celebrated his 18th birthday, and I was cleaning up, so I thought, you can go on your own today, because he'd just bought himself a brand new car, a Hilux, his first car for his birthday. And so Saturday I had all these people over, and the Monday I decided to stay home, and he went to work and never came home.
I don't have the right words, I don't think. And listeners will know that I have a 19-year-old apprentice carpenter and who is one of 5 children. And I can't even begin to imagine the pain of what you have been through. And I even struggle to understand how you take that pain and turn it into such a positive message that you now have that has the opportunity to prevent this from happening for other people. That's such an incredible journey that you've been on.
Yeah, I just find if I don't do what I do, I'm actually worse. Christopher was such a giving person. He was kind-hearted, and I couldn't think of anything, better to do to be able to make sure that his death was not in vain. That is my biggest thing, and why I do what I do. Because if I can save a life in his honor, then I'm happy. I've done something for him, and that, he'll always be remembered in the name of safety.
I do really find that very inspirational. I'm trying very hard to keep this together. I'm sorry.
I do. I have a 20-year-old who's an apprentice carpenter as well. And every day that he goes out on the field, I worry about him, and he doesn't realize how much anxiety I get. And if he doesn't answer his phone, I'm like, where is he? I'm sending the search party out.
Of course.
Understandably.
Horrible.
Patricia, tell us about Christopher. Sorry, Laurie. Yeah. Tell us about Christopher.
So Christopher, as I said before, was a kind-hearted, beautiful, beautiful kid. One of those kids that every mum wishes for. Never needed to be told what to do, when it came to chores and stuff. He, even on a Sunday after working a long week, hard work, he'd still get up in the morning, mow the grass, wash the cars without being told to do it. You know what I mean? We're always struggling with these kids, screaming at them, can you please go outside and cut the grass or do something? Christopher was just self-motivated, always, was always drawn. A lot of people were drawn to him that were sort of like, needed help or anything like that. He was like an angel on earth. He really was.
What a dreadful loss.
Perhaps appropriate given the work that you're now doing, and as you say, I mean, time is always cruel when it's shorter than we anticipate. And as a parent myself, I can't imagine what losing a child would be like at that age. So
it is the worst thing that can happen in anyone's life.
I believe that.
There is nothing that compares to a loss of a child. I don't care what anybody says. Nothing could possibly go in my life that is worse than that.
No, I agree. Can you tell us about the circumstances surrounding what led to Christopher's death?
Sure. So what actually happened, and mind you, it's taken a long time for me to figure out and find out exactly what happened, because obviously the prosecution and the court cases were in, with SafeWork and the builder and also the scaffolding company. So we did not find out until last year, November.
Wow.
That's not exactly what happened. So that's more than 3.5 years on. Because they kept saying I'm not privileged to know this information because they had to keep it quiet until the case. So all the investigations that were happened. So the first court case happened about 2.5 years after it actually happened, and I only knew a little bit, but also from people talking of what had actually happened, I knew from that. But what really happened is Synergy, who's the scaffolding company, was contracted to Janellen, the builder, to supply a heavy-duty scaffold that also included 2-ton loading platforms because the builder wanted to preload bricks onto the scaffold. Unfortunately, that was not done as per the contract, and the scaffolding company only provided a normal heavy-duty scaffold. At the handover, nobody questioned it. No, it wasn't communicated. So the builder obviously assumed that it was what he was supposed to have, and they went ahead and loaded 2 tons of bricks onto the scaffold. And that was it was actually overloaded by 18.5 tons.
Oh my word!
On the scaffold. But that was not the only problem. We knew right from the beginning that it was overloaded. And we also found out that there was no ties whatsoever.
Oh, no.
So no ties were, and this is a 9-story scaffold, 2 bays wide. All the ties had been removed and then overloaded by 18.5 tons. That's as far as I knew till last year. But then I also found out that there was transoms missing, and also there was no vertical bracing either on the scaffold. So everything you can possibly think of that could go wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yep.
The hardest part is that in the last 4 years, all I've been doing is speaking to workers about speaking up.
Yeah.
And saying no to unsafe work practices. The actual scaffolders that put the scaffold together did speak up, and they said, look, we really need to stop the job. It seems like as though there's too much load on this and we need to get everyone off. But unfortunately, the leading hand had that she'll be right moment and said, no, it's fine. In a couple of hours, it came down and crushed my son to death and horrifically injured Khalid, who was his supervisor. Christopher survived for 20 minutes under the rubble, and he fell face down and copped the full brunt of it, and then suffocated 20 minutes later.
Oh.
And Khalid, who was with him, his supervisor, he fell sitting down. And the only reason why they managed to get to him was that he had a bar across his chest that was suffocating him. They cut that and got him out. But, the worst part of everything is that I speak to Khalid all the time, and he says to me, Trish, the worst thing in my life is your son screaming your name.
Oh.
There was nothing I could do. And he goes, and that stays in my head. All I hear him is just calling out for you. I tried to hold his hand and I couldn't even pull him towards me. I couldn't do anything. There's nothing. And, not only has he got that mental, to deal with, but his pain. He had to learn how to walk again. And, he broke so many bones in his body. And just mentally, he's not good. But, a tragedy like this is hard. And it's all because of complacency.
Yeah.
Being complacent, having that she'll be right moment.
It's preventable. That's the most
100%.
sickening thing about it is they're not accidents.
They're not.
I was in emergency services and a couple of organisations, volunteer organisations, when I was younger, in my teenage years, actually, SES, one of them. And there's a lot of, even back then when I was 19, which is a long time ago, there was a focus on safety, and there was this talk about accidents, and that there's no such thing as an accident.
There isn't.
They're poor decisions that lead to poor outcomes. Yeah, exactly.
We have so many safety protocols in place to keep us safe, but we always find a shortcut. And I always say it's never an accident. It's always an incident waiting to happen because of complacent decisions that are made that lead up to it.
That's right.
And that's what it is. We are all complacent. We're human. The human race is complacent. Full stop. Not just at work, at home, in the car, wherever we are, we have a complacent moment daily. It's just a matter of recognizing when we're being complacent to actually stop and evaluate what we're doing. Because the minute she'll be right comes through our mind, it's not right. It's definitely not right.
As challenging as that is to sit with and listen to and understand some of what you've been through, Patricia, I think it is the most crucial moment for brutal honesty to make people stop and think.
Yeah.
We are so complacent. We don't think about how our actions could lead to a different outcome. We are so, busy being
human.
Full of bravado, yes, and very much human, that we don't think about the possible outcomes. And I think it's important that we sit with the rawness of what you've just explained and understand, and I would encourage every listener to put themselves in your shoes just for a moment and try and understand what that must feel like for you to learn that information.
Yes.
And what can they then do every day to ensure safety for not only themselves but others? Because this isn't necessarily about our own personal safety. This is about what being complacent can mean for others, other families, other people, the rest.
Everyone around you.
That's right.
You know, for me, my safety presentations that I do on sites with toolbox talks, pre-starts, wherever it is, and I travel all around Australia. I've been international to do these. It's raw. I do show a video of the incident, and it's a 4-minute video, and it is quite hard to watch, but that's the reality of what the incident is. And so I take workers on a journey with me from the moment that I got that phone call of, you know, letting me know that something's happened, and I've gone to the site. You know, once I've arrived there, I still did not know that Christopher had passed away.
Oh, no.
But here I am, mind you, I know every single person there because I'm a coffee lady. I'm mum on that site.
Yeah.
You know, I bring everyone's lunches and their coffees every single day. So the whole situation is very personal when I get there. And then they take me obviously into the first aid room to let me know that my son's passed away. And I'm still today have not accepted and will never accept what happened because it was totally avoidable.
100%.
And making workers understand that we all have a reason why we go to work.
Yeah.
And that reason is to build a better life for ourselves and to make sure that we get home safe to our families. We go there to have, you know, to make money, bring it home and live our lives. But why are we risking our lives just to get that job done? What for? What's the point? Just stay home. You know, we have those reasons, and we need to, I hope that when I do my talks that, you know, not only am I speaking as a safety professional, but as a mum. It's to say, why are you doing that? Think about your life. Think about the lives you leave behind, or even if you get injured for that matter, it's the same thing. You know, injuries are just as bad.
Yep.
Just as bad because you take that home with you.
Patricia, did the learning about what happened with your son, understanding all of the true details about how that came about and then going through the court case, etc., did they bring you any kind of comfort?
No, I don't think it will ever bring comfort. It will never bring comfort because you know what it is? My fight is just strong. It needs to stay strong. And I know I will never accept what happened. So for me, yes, finding out is what I need to do. I need to find out. Is that background noise?
No, you're all good.
I have to, I've got to continue fighting because what happened to Christopher shall never happen again. And no Aussie should ever go to work and die.
No, I agree.
And I just think that, you know, why is it happening? Why is it happening so often? When we do the statistics, every second day, someone in Australia is going to work and dying.
It's horrific.
It is
horrific.
The thing that grates me even more about these situations is so often it's not the person who loses their life or is injured. It wasn't their decision that led to that in the first place. You know, if I mean, I've got a bit of bark off my head at the moment because I crashed my mountain bike, but that was my choice. That was my decision. I was riding the bike. I chose to go over that jump. And so I can actually take responsibility for those consequences. But when so many people step onto a work site and somebody else has made a decision that puts, you know, my life in danger or my personal safety in danger, I have no opportunity for ownership or responsibility. And it's done often without my knowledge.
How do you accept that?
Exactly.
I know Khaled, he wishes he died with Christopher.
Oh, it's horrible.
Because the pain he goes through and the mental, demons that he has in his head, he prefers not to be here. And this is what people don't understand. We all go to work thinking, we'll just get the job done. If I get injured, workers' comp will fix it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get injured, it's life. Okay, especially on a job site. This is a life injuries. Even if you break an ankle, that's a life injury. That's not just, she'll be right. You may fix it. You may 8 weeks, you'll be able to walk back on it, but the pain will be there forever.
Yep.
It won't go away. And when someone dies, that's it. It's over. You can't change that.
No.
And that is the hardest thing that I try to make people understand. Don't take life for granted. Don't go to work and risk your life because it's just not worth it.
It isn't.
It isn't.
I'd like to talk about the impact that this has, or the known impact that you understand, Patricia, on everybody else around you. So it's not just you, it's your family, it's the siblings, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. And then when you bring it back to that job site and you think about all the people that were there on the day and the emergency services and then the people responsible for what's happened and the far-reaching impact of what happened on that day, I wonder if you can give us a bit of a sense of your understanding of what that has meant for all of those people.
Yes, well, it is huge. It is actually unmeasurable. There was 250 workers on that site.
Wow.
2 bricklayers were actually on the scaffold when it collapsed from underneath them.
Oh, goodness.
So they'd just come off a lunch and they were standing on the scaffold and realized that the scaffold moved away from the building. And that's when they jumped and actually jumped onto the ledge of this balcony. And it was 25 or 26-year-old and a 65-year-old.
Oh,
obviously, the 65-year-old isn't as agile as a 26-year-old. He didn't quite make it. So he's actually hanging off the side of the ledge while this scaffold has just come down from underneath them. And a 26-year-old has pulled him up. These are bricklayers. They need to use scaffold every single day of their lives. Their lives is not the same.
no.
Many, many workers actually quit their job that day, not to ever return.
Yep.
Being mum on that site made it so much harder for every single worker to actually get over what actually happened.
Absolutely.
Everybody loved Christopher. They I'd have other trades come to me and always say, Trish, if Christopher ever wants to change his job and become a plumber or an electrician, please let me know. I'll take him on. This is the type of kid Christopher was.
Yeah.
So not only has he affected me, my husband, and my kids, but his whole family, every friend that he had, and beyond that, because when I speak to people and they recognize me, they'll say, "You're Christopher's mum," and they always say, "I still remember what I was doing when it hit the news. I remember what I was doing." Who says that? Christopher was an 18-year-old. He died like a celebrity. You only know when a celebrity dies and it remembers and it sticks to your mind. Christopher had that same effect to every single person I speak to. And not only, in New South Wales, everywhere. Everybody knows when I say Christopher, they know who I am and who Christopher is. So the impact has been huge, and this is why I do what I do. I hope that his name will always be remembered in the name of safety, and that everybody stops and thinks about their own lives.
Can we talk about the culture? So I'm a builder's wife, and I've seen safety's been a battle for a long time, and through complacency, and I've had many incidents that don't bear mentioning after what Christopher went through. And they came about through almost an arrogance from some people that came on site around not only their own safety, but the safety of others. And then the other thing I really saw was this culture of people being put down, bullied, spoken illy of because they dared to put their hand up and say something was wrong. I think there's still a real cultural shift that needs to happen around safety in the construction industry. I think in all levels, and I see it particularly on commercial sites. There seems to be a real culture shift needed in that space. Yes. I'd like to understand if I don't believe that I am, but is that something that you're seeing really frequently as well? Something that you hear in the feedback that you get?
I see it on my own site.
Yeah.
I see it in my own home. I'm doing renovations at the moment. And there is tradies that come here and they'll do something and I'll be like, oh, what are you doing? It's like, well, how else am I going to do this? Like, what do you mean? Because there has got to be a safer way of doing this. You know, you've got to realize that you're actually risking your life in what you're about to do. And it's not going to happen on my house.
No.
Yeah.
It's, you know, and the thing is well, how else am I going to do it?
Yeah. It's a
no regard on their own safety.
No.
That's not an excuse.
No.
There is always a way. There's always a way of being safer. And, you know, unfortunately, everybody's too scared to put their hand up and say, stop. Don't do that. That's wrong. Because they fear they're going to get their heads knocked in by someone, or they're going to get victimized, bullied, or worse, lose their jobs. And there's many people out there that can't lose their jobs.
Yeah.
And so they think, well, I'm not going to say anything. And this is the reason why one of the first things I did with government is to implement the Speak Up app, which is the Speak Up with Safe Work New South Wales, where workers are able to anonymously speak up with an app, take photos and upload it directly to Safe Work, and then Safe Work triages it and then goes to the site and inspects it.
Great idea.
When the first statistics came out, I nearly fell off the chair. I went, what? Like there was 2,937 submissions made within 6 months.
Wow.
All right.
Last year it reached 10,000. Now, how on earth is Safe Work supposed to get to all of them?
Yeah.
And this is why I always encourage workers to speak up. Speak up within. Go to your managers. You have every single right to speak up and say no to an unsafe work practice. It is now law. Category 1 law in WHS has now been changed because I've pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. It is now got gross negligent and reckless behaviour. Even if an incident has not occurred and you take on an unsafe work practice, you are liable for a Category 1 offence and you can get prosecuted even as a worker, not just a PCBU, as a worker. And that's a Category 1 offence. Obviously, industrial manslaughter is what I'm pushing for next. And, you know, we are a Labor government now and hopefully these changes will be made sooner rather than later. But putting on those, you know, if we compare ourselves to the other states which have industrial manslaughter already in place, except for us in Tasmania, there is reins there. Like people go, whoa, stop, what are you doing? I can go to jail for this. Whether in New South Wales we don't have that. You know, the highest fine is $3.5 million. That is it. It's nothing.
Which for most...
There is no deterrent.
Yeah. I mean, most of the companies will just declare bankruptcy. They can't pay it anyway and keep doing what they're doing.
Nothing changes.
So it's hard to get it.
The best thing that's been come out is obviously David Chandler. We have our building commissioner now that goes out there and oversees these issues. You know, the ICE certification of builders to make sure that they are certified. And, you know, there's a lot of changes that are coming. And I'm glad these changes are being made. It's taking a long time, but slowly but surely we need these massive changes and give workers the courage to say no.
Yeah, it seems...
Because they have every right.
They do.
It seems... we literally interviewed somebody recently around HR stuff and some of the federal laws that are being brought into place around, you know, pay equality and these sorts of things, and then I hear stories like yours and Christopher's, and am reminded of the insane practices that are happening on not just construction work sites. It's happening in factories and retail. It's all work sites, and it just seems to be left for the states to deal with as per normal. And even then, it's like the poor cousin to all of the big headline vote grabbing issues. Have you struggled with getting an audience, Patricia? Like, have you found it challenging to get politicians and lawmakers to take this stuff seriously?
Look, they know I'm here. They know
I bet they do.
I can tell you now, Safe Work and government do know that I exist and that I won't be going far, and I will be keeping on the fight to make sure these changes are made. Common sense. I just want common sense. Unfortunately, there is no common sense in our law. No one is culpable for when someone dies. So in Christopher's case, no one goes to jail, even though it was proven on who actually made that decision. They don't pay for it. It goes to the company. The company just pays the fine. And in most cases, the insurance company pays for that fine, which is another change that I made, is that no insurance shall ever pay any WHS penalties. So that's been taken off. So it is a personal liability.
Is that the case in the other states, Patricia?
No. It's in New South Wales. A lot of the other states are looking into it because obviously a lot of insurance companies prick their ears and went, well, we want that too. You know what I mean? Sure. Why should we pay for somebody's negligence?
That's right.
It doesn't happen in a car.
No.
You're behind the wheel and you kill someone, it's manslaughter.
That's right.
Regardless if you're drunk or not.
Yep.
You killed someone. It is instant manslaughter. And you'll pay for it. Whether at work you kill a worker in New South Wales, nothing. There's nothing. The total fines on Christopher's case totaled to $2.9 million. $900,000 for the builder, $2 million for the Synergy, the scaffolding company, which goes directly to Safe Work New South Wales. And then I have to do a civil case where I have to prove my pain and suffering.
How ridiculous.
Any compensation whatsoever.
It's like we're in the bloody medieval times where, the landlords and the wealthy just owned everybody, and lives weren't worth any more than the work they could do. It's crazy.
It is. I wanted government to listen to. I said, I don't want to change these laws because I want people to go to jail. I want these laws to be put in as a deterrent for people to stop doing the wrong thing. When people have listened to my talk, it kind of shifts them because I do bring that reality of what a tragedy looks like.
Yeah.
And it shifts them to make them think as to, why am I doing that? Why am I risking my life to get this job done? And because I take them on this journey, they think about their own mum. They think about their own wife or husband or children at home. And that's what I want them to go home with. After I've finished with them, usually I speak for about an hour to an hour and 10. After I finish, no one moves. No one gets off their chairs. It's just like everything is just quiet for the whole duration. That people are like gobsmacked to think that a simple decision can be so detrimental. We are all responsible for safety.
Patricia, has anybody from either of the companies, the builder or the scaffolding company, ever reached out to you?
At the beginning, yes. They both came to my house and, gave out their condolences. But it was hard. It was, I don't know. It is hard, especially for Synergy, because I knew every single one of them. You know what I mean? And I still feel for them. As much as I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I still cry for them.
Of course.
Because they have to live with this. You know, these are normal human beings. I'm not seeing them as a company. These are human beings that go to bed at night and say, what if I should have, I could have? And, you know, have to live with Christopher's death because of a simple decision that could have stopped it from happening. And I don't want other workers to have to go through this. You know, no one should ever walk past an unsafe situation and say it's not my job.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, and yet it still happens. I don't understand. But as a parent, I think mum or dad, any parent, you look at these situations, you think about your children, or you think about the impact on your children. If it was you, sometimes that can change your thinking, and yet I still see that complacency, which is so frustrating. I'm really hoping that the rawness of your story stops people in their tracks and, you know, they take the time to think.
Yeah.
I guess for me then, as a mum, I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know how on earth you made the transition through grief to speak so openly about the journey that you've been on and to help create this awareness and make the changes that you are contributing to making. Can you share with us how that journey has evolved for you, and at what point did you make the decision that you were even able to do this?
I never put my hand up for it. It just happened. My first speaking engagement was May 1st, which was exactly a month after Christopher died.
Wow.
And that was at May Day March with the unions. I went out, I led the union march, and I went on stage, and there was over 10,000 workers in Hyde Park. That was my first speaking engagement ever.
Wow.
You know, and I never really put my hand up for it. I think it's my anger drives what I do. I'm so angry at what happened. And I know I'm never, ever going to get over this. And so I have to turn it into something positive because it will eat me up alive. And I do have two beautiful boys that I have to look after as well. And I have my husband. You know, I live for them. I live for them. And if I can't make those changes, knowing that even my son is a tradie, and protect him in his life.
Yeah.
So people can understand that we're all precious. Every single one of us is precious, and we should be going to work to earn that money so we can have that life we all want. Not that we're risking it just to get it. And we can go home to our families, because when you don't go home, everything changes.
How is your family? How are your boys? How's your husband? How is everyone coping?
It's a struggle.
Yeah.
It's a struggle. This is the reason why I'm renovating the house. It's very hard to be at home.
Yeah.
I've rearranged the whole house, like completely gutted the whole house, changed the entry, extended to put our living area in a totally different area, because since Christopher died, it's now been 4 years, we have still not eaten on our dinner table because it's just too hard. And so I've made that extension. I've put our living area there to hopefully bring a new beginning and new life into this home, which, you know, people say, why don't you sell? So no, because I don't. Christopher was still here, still part of, you know, this house, but it's just being here, things still in their places of where they are. It's just too hard to wait. And we still have to go through our civil case. So we haven't even touched the sides yet of our mental health. And I worry about that. I worry about my kids having to have to go through the court cases and being prodded and, you know, having to have to prove their pain and suffering.
It's ridiculous.
To get any compensation.
I feel outraged for you. I actually feel incredibly angry for you.
But this is the reason why I'm on this mission, because I know there will never be any justice for my son through the judicial system.
No.
And the only justice I can get is through my work of what I do.
Patricia, you've talked a bit about government, and obviously, you know, that has to be a huge part of driving change with legislation and punitive measures. Has there been any other positive response from industry or other industry groups that have sort of gotten behind this and trying to drive change with you?
Yes. Well, sometimes some of the bigger companies have got me out to do toolbox talks and doing a safety presentation, not knowing exactly what they're going to get. It blows them away in the sense that, you know, you got project managers and safety managers standing there and looking out to 150, 200 workers sitting there in total silence, listening to every single word I say, that they've never seen that before.
Mm.
And so they're kind of taken back when I finish and go, oh my God, that was the most powerful thing that I've ever seen. But what keeps me going is the response I get from the workers after they leave the room. Is they personally text me to say, I've never experienced anything like that. And I've now changed the way I do things in my life, because I've just realized my own complacency in what I do in my life that could lead to such tragedies. And I could not think of anything worse in leaving behind my family for a job. You know?
Yeah, it's almost sometimes it's harder to drive change from the top down with legislators and everything. And in fact, if we get the people on board, then there's no choice for governments. They have to.
Everyone has to just say no. Just say no. Simple.
That's right.
You can't, without the worker, and I say this to the workers all the time, there is a lot of importance in different tiers in your workplace, okay? You've got your managers, you've got your safety managers, you've got your workers, you've got other people in the site. Who are the most important people in that site? It's the workers. Without the workers, the work does not get done. Simple. And I tell them, doesn't matter what you do. If you don't get the job done today, it will still be here tomorrow. It'll still be here next week and next year. And if you die, the job will still get done. You are replaceable. But guess what? You're not replaceable to your family.
No.
When you're gone, you're gone. And this is what I try to make people understand, that it's just not worth it. Really isn't. It's not worth the pain, even for companies. Be proactive. You know, if you own a company, if you own a business, be proactive when it comes to safety. Don't just say, oh, I've got safety protocols in place. Act upon it. Because I can tell you now, being proactive is way cheaper than being reactive.
Yeah.
Reactive can cost you your whole business and cost you your own mental health. No one would want to be in a position where they've had a death on their own watch.
No.
Because it stays with you forever.
Absolutely.
I always say this to the workers, the reason why I show a video and the reason why I don't sugarcoat my presentation is because that's the closest that I can get the worker to be in front of a tragedy and what a tragedy actually looks like.
Yeah.
Because unless they've been there, safety will never be in the forefront of their mind.
That's
That's
right.
just fact. And that is why it is hard to watch, but it is real.
Absolutely. Patricia, I feel like you have a lot of fight in you, so this is going to go for a long time. Apart from the civil case, obviously, what else is in the future for you and your foundation, and what sort of goals, I guess, do you have?
Well, the Touch by Christopher Foundation. So let's talk about safety is what I do with my safety presentations. And then Touch by Christopher is the charity. So I raise money to help families who have lost a loved one in the workplace in New South Wales. My goals obviously is to go national, to cover all deaths in Australia. But unfortunately, we have so many deaths that, it will be very hard to be able to facilitate that. So it's now condensed in New South Wales. And what we do is when someone dies at work, we try to contact the family or get the family to contact us, which is a little bit hard at the moment because obviously privacy laws, I can't go to Safe Work and say, I need the name of who died. So it's a matter of awareness, getting that awareness on Touched by Christopher that we are here. We provide 3 months worth of groceries to the family based on however many people are in the household. And it's worked out at $20 per person per day for 92 days. So if there's 4 people, it's, $80 per day for 92 days. Plus we pay $1,500 towards any bills that they may have outstanding, like water bills, gas, whatever it is. And my short-term goal is to reach my next goal of having raising funds so that I can also add 3 months worth of mortgage or rent on top of that as well. Because the majority of the time when someone dies, it's actually the breadwinner.
Yeah.
And bills don't stop.
No.
They just keep coming. And Touched by Christopher is there to just help families with that everyday burden so that they can grieve. Because compensation does not come straight away either.
No.
Such a time-consuming process if it happens at all.
Yeah. And it's sad. It is so, so sad. People can lose their homes because the income has stopped. And there's just no buffer. There's nothing. It is very sad. We were very lucky. We weren't dependent on Christopher, but we had a lot of help from people, and that's why I started Touched by Christopher, because I want to give back. I do have a charity barbecue on the 21st of May at Macquarie Park, which I'm hoping for people to either come sponsor it and be part of it. It'll be just a family day. It's from 10 till 3, and it'll be on the 21st of May this year. And it's at Lachlan's Line where Christopher's memorial is, where the actual incident happened. So, that's hopefully we can raise enough money to be able to get that goal, to be able to include the mortgage and rent for people as well. And that is my goals at the moment, And obviously my biggest mission is to get in front of every single worker to deliver my message and hopefully shift their complacent mindsets and give them the courage to speak up.
Patricia, how do people find you and find out more about the Touched by Christopher Foundation?
We have the website is touchedbychristopher.org.au, and they can donate online as well. There's the events are on there usually, and my other website is the letstalkaboutsafety.com.au, which is the speaking engagement. So if anyone wants me to come onto their site to speak to their workers about complacency and speaking up, they can just contact me, or they can call me on my phone as well. Give me a call.
I would really like to come give you a great big hug. And I don't know how to say sorry. I don't think there's a right way to say how sorry I am that this happened to you and your boy. And I thank you for sharing so honestly with us.
Thank you.
So that others have the opportunity to hear what they can do to prevent something like this happening.
Yeah. We all need to band together. And this is why I encourage workers to speak up. Just say no. It is your life.
Everybody has a part to play, and I think it's too easy to make this the government's responsibility or the primary contractor's responsibility or the safety app's responsibility.
We're all responsible. We are all responsible.
100%.
Every single one of
have
us.
a part to play. Even if you're walking past something that's got nothing to do with you, it's a possibility to go and poke your nose in and take a risk because it might save the life of someone like your boy.
Yes. Yeah.
Patricia, thank you.
Thank you.
We really appreciate your time. Listeners, please do go and, if you can, go and donate if you're in the Sydney area. Obviously get down to the charity barbecue, but go and check out those websites. We'll put all the details in the description for this episode and our show notes. And Patrizia, wishing you all the very best with your quest. And we express our our condolences, and I think it's amazing what you're doing and how you're honouring your son's life. So thank you very much.
And thank you for the opportunity to be on your podcast and spread the message. It's, very nice of you to have me on here. So
absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.